It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Sense,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Twisted Minds Bowstrings,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Antler Action,
and Family Traditions Tree Stands.
And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast. Everybody, host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw. What is going on on this Sunday evening?
It's August.
Yeah?
It's a little warm out.
Yeah?
And I'm ready for a cool down.
You are?
I think I'm ready for fall to show up.
All right.
You know, I'm just waiting, and it's like, you know what? Yeah, it's time.
It's time, huh?
I don't want to rush it or nothing, but I tell you what, let's get a move on here.
Hey, Dan Anderson, Jim Miller, Tom Gensel. Yes, sir. Ice-T here. You got that right. Evening, guys. Will be in the UP for a wedding this coming weekend.
Dan, where are you going to be?
Yeah, shoot us a message real quick.
Yeah, where are you going to be, man?
But I think without further ado, let's just get into the show
tonight.
tonight.
We got to, because it's always good to have this gentleman on. It's always a joy and a pleasure.
Jerry Lambert, what is going on, my man?
Hello, congratulations, guys. I heard Danny had episode 200 last week or a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, congratulations to him, and woe is me. I've had to put up with this guy here for 200 shows.
200 shows. I tell you what, you know what?
Well, and I think, Mike, you're keeping pace with Miguel Cabrera's home runs, aren't you, with your episodes?
Pretty close. We're looking at episode 500 probably
early next year.
Yeah, sometime mid-January, I think, is what we figured.
Congratulations. That's impressive.
Thanks, man. It's working in the industry, working with good people like yourself. It's pretty awesome. You know, we get to meet a lot of cool people, and you're one of them. So I'm glad to have you on tonight.
Thank you. I'm glad to be on.
And you get a compliment on your goatee. Really?
Really? Oh, you like? Who did that? Who put that out there?
Matthew Cerulski.
Oh,
really?
That's a guy I work with. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I need a little shaved here, so it's getting a little woolly. But
yeah, you're just ready for hunting season.
Speaking of accomplishment, Jerry,
congratulations, bud.
You've got an accomplishment that we want to celebrate as well. You are now the editor of Michigan Bowhunter Magazine. Is that correct?
Yeah, Michigan Bowhunters News.
Bowhunters News. Okay, all right.
There you go.
So how did that all come about?
Well, actually, if you read my articles or read my books, I hunt a lot with my brothers. It's me, Jeff, and Joe, and we're all members. Most of us, me and my brothers, are life members of the NRA, and we keep various other memberships, Whitetails Unlimited, National Wild Turkey Federation, Commemorative Bucks of Michigan, the list goes on and on. Anyways, they were longtime members of Michigan Bowhunters News, and they needed a new editor, and I thought it'd be a good way to serve the outdoor community. So I stepped up to represent that organization. It's an organization that has about just over 1,000 members, and it's looking to get a few more. Hopefully after tonight's show, we'll get a few more.
Definitely. Before we let you go to later on, we'll definitely make sure that we let people know how they can join. So,
good deal.
So what kind of responsibilities do you have, being an editor of something of that magnitude?
Well, this is a public club publication, so you can't buy the publication at a store. It's just like, if you're so many people are members of NRA. With your NRA membership, you get a magazine. Well, with Michigan Bowhunter News, you get a 24-page magazine. I've been doing it since about this time last year. I think it was about November I signed on. And I'm on about my 7th or 8th issue with the organization. And, for example, this month, we're featuring the American archer, Tom Nelson.
Nice.
You guys watch his show. He's on the cover of this month's issue. And he's an active member in the group. And we're just a group of people who want to represent bow hunting in Michigan. The president, vice president went to the recent NRC meetings to talk about the CWD. So, there's a lot of organizations working for the sportsmen. So I just encourage everyone, if it's not Michigan Bowhunters, find one. Just try to do your part to serve hunting.
Absolutely. And that's why we join these groups is to keep furthering and pushing along, the great news about hunting and conservation and stewardship and all that. That's awesome. Now, let me ask a question. It says it covers Michigan, but could somebody from Wisconsin or Ohio, could they be a member? Or do you just limit it to Michigan?
Yes, no. We just try to keep our information, because it's a Michigan bow hunting organization. We definitely represent out-of-state people. There's out-of-state members. A little background, and I'm going to put my glasses on for this. The organization started in 1946, and what happened, the great Fred Bear went to a bow hunting association banquet in Wisconsin, and he wanted to bring the idea to Michigan. So Fred Bear helped start up the Michigan Bow Hunters Association, and it has a real rich history. I mean, we're talking 1946 on.
That is cool. So, I did not know that. I didn't know he was involved. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
So,
and knowing Fred, he's probably still involved,
Right.
You got it.
I mean, he lives on, right?
Right.
He's in the swamp. I think Ted said something about that. So.
Yeah. Either directly or indirectly. I mean, and that's what's great about hunting, the heritage that Michigan has. I mean, I know other states have got heritage, but I mean, we had Fred Bear here. You look at all the outdoor groups or companies that, especially in bow hunting, that come out of Michigan that are still here in Michigan. I think, is Michigan, aren't we leading the country in bow hunters per square mile, that hunt land, in our state?
I don't have the stats on it. I know we're definitely a leader, and I wish I had the stats in front of me. But you're right. So many people in the outdoor industry come from Michigan. We have a very rich history, the whole thing above the straits. And then just the boom in southern Michigan in the last 20, 30 years of whitetail hunting. Pheasants Forever's really taken off. And of course, the success story of the turkeys is just incredible. I've wrote a couple stuff. In fact, for our publication I did, turkey hunting in Michigan is top shelf right now, and I remember when we didn't see turkeys. Of course, that shows my age a little, but it wasn't that long ago. Turkeys weren't around.
You're right. My dad, he started me hunting when I was a little guy with him, I mean, I'm going to be 53 this year, but I mean, I was probably, 5, 6, 7-ish when I started chasing squirrels with him, and we hunted state land in Gladwin County. I don't ever remember seeing wild turkey anywhere up until, I want to say, the late 80s, early 90s ish.
I was going to say late 80s down here in southern Michigan, where I was primarily hunting at that time, Calhoun County. Yes, late 80s.
And truthfully, me growing up in the city and then hunting in the UP, I don't ever remember seeing anything. Mm-hmm. It was just like from cement to the way up north and nothing in, I didn't see nothing.
Absolutely. No, that's something else. Now, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about you being an outdoor writer as well. You've wrote a good handful of books, which we've read here. Danny and I have shared back and forth. Talk a little bit about that. Is there anything on the agenda for you, writing-wise, for another book?
I don't have any books coming out soon. But I do just want to talk about the ones you're mentioning. My very first book was Trophy Whitetails. It hit number 2 on the Amazon best-selling hunting charts back in 2011 when it came out. And tell you the truth, it still charts every year right around hunting season. And if you're a whitetail hunter, it has a variety of stuff. A lot of the articles are ones I did for other publications, like Whitetails Unlimited, North American Whitetail. There's quite a handful from there. Michigan people recognize me from Woods and Water News.
Right.
Michigan Outdoor News.
Mm-hmm.
I write about a lot of the big bucks in Michigan. And last year I had the privilege of writing about one of my best friends. It was pretty cool. He sent me a picture. He went out October 1st. He drives from Kalamazoo all the way down to Hillsdale County. And he goes, man, I got a picture of a real big one. He sends me a picture. I'm like, oh my goodness, dude, that's a big one. Well, then later in October, I come home, and I just got home from hunting. I check my phone, and it says, I got him.
Oh, no kidding.
I look at my wife, I go, I know what that means. And I hit the message and pull it up, and he's showing me the picture of this 180, literally 180 class deer. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, he got him. And so I wrote the story for Woods and Water News, and it's titled, I Got Him. It's just fun stuff. And it couldn't have happened to a more deserving guy. He had all the story. He had all the my arrow hit this tree, or my scope was off, I misfired. He had all these stories, and so he was so deserving. His first big buck was a mega buck, and it represents Southern Michigan and what we can accomplish here.
Absolutely. Right, exactly. And this state, quiet as it may be, it's not always, but yeah, you can get a big buck in this. And what other book? You wrote that one. You also wrote another one, North of Wrong, correct?
Yes. Following, I just want to backtrack a little. Following Trophy Whitetails, I came out with The Hunting Spirit, which covers more whitetail, but also tackles turkey hunting, my trip to Africa, elk hunting, and some other things. It's the same type thing. It's a short story book. Well, after the 2 hunting books, I said, you know what? I want to try an outdoor mystery book. If anyone's familiar with C.J. Box out of Wyoming, who writes about a game warden, or Paul Dorian out of Maine, who writes about a game warden. It's kind of in that same genre. So I wrote about a deputy sheriff in northern Michigan, and it's called North of Wrong, and he's a sportsman, and he tackles the illegal marijuana farmers in the public woodlands of northern Michigan. And it has a lot of Michigan facts and stuff, and I really appreciate you guys. You wrote a great little blurb for the book that even got on the cover. I don't know if you're going to put the cover on your screen there, but
yep, we got it.
Wrong came out in 2016.
Yep, that's cool.
Absolutely. It was really fun to read those books because of that fact. You started putting 2 and 2 together and starting to catch little nuances.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I know that, or vice versa. But
I know where that little town is.
Right, exactly. So
that's cool.
It's always good when you can start to read something and so you can almost put yourself into that.
Yeah, the story pulls you right in. Yep. And you're part of the story all of a sudden. It feels like you're right there. So, and these books, what I like about them is, it's something you can read at deer camp. You can have it at deer camp, at the cabin, or at fish camp, or
you got it wherever
it is that you call the outdoors.
Yep, absolutely. And it's a great book to have around camp.
One of my favorite things, there's people like myself and you guys, we just like to read. So it's natural. Pick up a new hunting book, read it. But what I really like is people are like, I never read before, but it's about deer hunting. I'll check it out, and they'll read it from front. They'll sit down and read it from front cover to back cover, and they're like, I don't usually read, but this is fun, And the reason it's not about all the controversies. It's about the hunting spirit, why we go out there, the traditions, the folklore, the passing down of heirlooms. Here's Grandpa's gun. We're going to go hunting with. There's so much to hunting. I'm the editor of Michigan Bow Hunter News now, and bow hunting. You guys both get out during bow hunting season, and it's about here. I mean, we'll see the sumac start to turn here soon, and the maple leaves will start to get that yellow and red, and our blood just starts bubbling. I know mine does, and I know you guys do too.
Absolutely, there is nothing better than a cool morning.
This index finger starts twitching. But I put the post out every year. It's that first morning. You make a cup of coffee, and it's just after sunrise, and you step outside for whatever reason it is, you're going outside, and you feel that crispness in the air, and it's just like an old friend. And I said, it's like the morning greets you and shakes your hand and says, where you been, old friend? I'm back.
That's right.
You nailed it right there.
It gives me goosebumps thinking about it.
Absolutely does.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here in our first break. We come back. I know, Jerry, you got some things on your mind you'd like to talk about a little bit tonight on more of a personal level. So let's.
You know what? And before we step out, Jerry, where can we find out more about Michigan bow hunters and your books?
Okay, let me put the reading glasses on again, and I'm looking at our membership page. Go to Michigan. Oh man, I can't. With my readers, I just lost it. We'll do that when we come back. How's that?
That sounds good.
Work.
All right. We're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, everybody. Second segment of the show. We are still here in studio tonight with Jerry Lambert. And Jerry, you put your glasses on, you did some digging on the internet, and you found the link. So for the guys who want to get into the Michigan Bowhunter News and get a subscription to that, or a membership, how do they do that?
MichiganBowhunters.com. I thought it was, but I just wanted to double check. MichiganBowhunters.com.
Okay.
Is the way to do it. Yep.
And if we want to find your books, where do we go?
Amazon.com is the best. But they are around the state. I just got them in Cops and Donuts. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that store.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I've noticed
Okay.
you. I've noticed you also. You'll post on Facebook that you're at a different little place selling your book. How's that going?
The books are doing great. Michigan people are great. They want to support Michigan-based products, and I promote Michigan in all my books. And I'm in a lot of bookstores in the state. But the best way, the easiest way from home these days is Amazon.com. Is the way to do it. You can just type in my name, or you type in any of the titles: Trophy Whitetails, The Hunting Spirit, or North of Wrong.
There you go.
There you go. And then you can find the great books, take them up to deer camp, read them out in the tree stand, out in the blind.
Absolutely.
And think
A lot
of Jerry.
people do.
Absolutely. It's good to do that, and so.
Well, kind of on a personal note, we're going to switch gears just a little bit here. You and I and Danny, we talked before the show, and
Right.
You're from Calhoun County. You hunt in Eaton County. So with what all's going on, and everybody is chomping at the bit. I mean, all week everybody's been talking about the NRC meeting. What's going to happen? What do we do? How do we deal with it? And we talked with you a little bit. And actually, there's no better person to talk to than somebody that's dealing with it directly. Where you hunt, you're in the surveillance zone. Am I right?
That's correct. I hunt up numerous properties in Calhoun County. I have a property in Eaton County that's in a township that's not the core area, but it is Eaton County, so we have had the regulations for a couple of years.
Okay. I was going to say, yeah, I do. I have the map here. Actually, just by chance, I threw it up there last week. For those of you who are not familiar with Michigan, as you look at this map that we're showing right now, that red zone there is I believe the yellow zone is the core area. It's a 5-county, and then the blue surrounding. This is the way that actually the state of Michigan wants to do their surveillance this year, and the colors indicate how many samples they want to pull from these areas. But it just gives you an indication of what we're dealing with. Jerry, your thoughts on this? I mean, we've been dealing with this now since, 2012, 13, 14, somewhere in there, in this area?
Yeah. Well, and me and Mike and Dan did talk a little off camera before the show. And we're kind of on the same page in the fact, we don't want to see the hunting community divided the way it is. But at the same time, we do need to have the discussion. And there's a lot of questions going unanswered, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do have to combat a disease. If there's a disease that's threatening the herd. But a lot of the techniques that they're talking about doesn't make sense to many people in the hunting community. And why aren't they communicating it better if it is such a logical response and good practice of what they're promoting? Opening up a gun season for the length that they're looking to do. And, if you read between the lines, they want a massive amount of deer shot. Right. I don't understand why we have to kill off so many deer. Maybe someone can explain that, but I've listened to the pros and cons, and I'm not getting the answers. I seem to get a lot of rhetoric and political posturing. And, I think I speak for a lot of hunters. Sure, if you're going to manage our deer herd, we want to trust you, but are you, is my question. And then my other question is, you mentioned the Calhoun County. Well, most of my properties, and I think it was 2012, were in the EHD. And
right.
I had one property, I swear there was over a 90% kill-off. Right. I had a trail camera out, and about this time of year, I was getting 500 pictures every week and a half. I shouldn't have checked it that much, but it was so much fun. I had a couple 20-inchers on there. I had a lot of big bucks. All of a sudden, I had a doe and 2 fawns on my camera, same camera. That was all I had for 5 weeks. I was like, how does that happen? From 500 pictures to like 60 pictures, the same camera, same area. And it was unreal. Deer trails that had been there, because I hunted this property for years, deer trails that had been there closed up. I mean, the grass grew over and they weren't being used. It was unreal. Now, what saved my season? I'm fortunate, and I have many properties because I put a lot of work into it. I'm passionate about my deer hunting, and I had a variety of properties. So like that one I'm talking about, we were able to not hunt that year, and I could focus more on the ones that had a 50% kill off. But all my properties were affected. Yeah. And I also want to say, so it isn't all doomsday. So when this happened, talk about doomsday. One of my main hunting properties had 90% kill off, and now that same area has a healthy deer herd again, and it's 2018.
Yeah.
So it isn't all the doomsday either.
That's Mother Nature for you. It brings in an EHD episode. It kind of almost sounds like it almost reset your hunting area, your property area, by killing off that many. But look, it rebounded to that point and says, there's a fresh stock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and the truth is, we weren't doing our job either. I started shooting does and stuff. I couldn't shoot enough. I go out in the December seasons, and we had a front field and a back field, and each field would have over 30 deer. I mean, there's 60 deer on that small acreage. And that's not counting the neighboring deer and everything. Yeah. So, we didn't do our job at taking all the deer either. So that, there's many sides to the story is where I'm going. But the whole CWD thing, I do agree with Dr. James Kroll, or they call him Dr. Deer, when he questions, what's the end game? What's the end game? I don't know what we're trying to do here. They talk about the CWD. Well, they don't want to make sure, it don't affect people. Well, I want to make sure of that too, but just killing off so many deer, how does that help? And they've been studying this for about 40 years, and they haven't concluded that it does affect people. So there's all these open-ended questions.
There is a lot of open-end questions that, and just like you said, Jerry, and plus another thing that communication obviously is an issue with what they got into a pickle last time around when they came out with what they, the regs, and then they had to send somebody out on the weekend to explain themselves.
Right.
So like you said, Jerry, they're not explaining themselves really well.
It's a PR nightmare.
It's a PR nightmare. And then, we got this disease, just like you said, Jerry. But then you tell them, in Michigan, we've got 31,000 samples, and we've got 50?
Yeah. Well, I think we're up to 60 positive.
58, is it? Or?
Yeah, I think we're to 60 positives now.
So 60 out of 31,000. Switch that into percentage, and then when you're into point whatever it is, try to explain that.
And in my layman terms, if we kill off the deer to try to eliminate the disease, but then they want to tell us also that the disease is here forever. It's the prions, once it's in a deer, is in the soil. The soil, so sounds like it's been here a long time.
Well, that's the Jerry.
Or it will be anyways.
That's what I'm afraid that it's actually been here for a long time. We just never looked for it.
Yeah. What I want to see them do, I mean, from my point of view, and this is just my point of view, my opinion.
And that's it. Yeah.
Send all your email to Mike Adams at
NorthJournal.com. Right there. This guy.
But so let's. They're doing this the surveillance area. They're doing some testing. They know where the disease is. Okay, I understand why they're really cutting back on doing more sampling in the core area. They know it's there. They want to save money because these tests are like $75 a pop. I think is what they said. So let's sample it, see where it's growing to, but let's take the rest of our money and pool it into research, and let's figure out how this is getting transmitted. Figure out if there's a way that we can actually combat this. If there's some magic bullet that we can come up with to break these prions down, that are in the soil. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but that's the problem. Nobody knows. And running around with your hands up, screaming,
"The world's coming to an end.
The world's on fire." Yes. The sky's falling. it does nobody any good. Scare tactics, what have you. Are we concerned? Yeah, I'm concerned. I am concerned about it, but I think there's got to be some civility amongst both sides talking about it, just like what we're doing tonight, talking about it, fleshing this stuff out, trying to come up with some reasonable answers and directions to go. And like you said earlier, Jerry, about infighting, I think there's too much of that going on in the outdoors. Especially here in Michigan.
Well, there is. We talked about it. I write articles about the big bucks in the state because, I like big bucks and I cannot lie. It's the truth. We like trophy bucks. But then you get you get people. If I post a picture of a 100-inch 8-point, which I shot many of, why did you shoot that? Or why don't you? Why is there a question of what I shoot? Why is there a question of what anyone shoots as long as they're legal?
Yep.
There's so much infighting. So why do I hunt? I like big bucks, but I also like what we just talked about. The cool morning breeze, the chess match with the game, picking the right tree stand, the camaraderie. There's so much, the traditions, the heirlooms, hunting with my dad's gun, my dad's hat, whatever. Sharing stories. There's so much to hunting. We don't need to fight as much as we do.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of it going on. So I'm on the same page with you guys. I'd really like to see that get curbed.
Well, I think the more we talk about it like this, hopefully civilly, we got people chiming in with all kinds of questions and things, and it's all good stuff. That's what we need more of. But I would like to see the government agencies engage in this as well, like you said, and become a little more transparent and explain, okay, so you want to take, let's say, I don't know what the number is, let's say in Calhoun County they want to shoot 2,500 doe. Okay, why did you pick that number? Okay.
Right.
And
right.
What are we trying to achieve by getting to that number? What happens if we don't get to that number? But also, and this is the big question that I've asked and nobody has an answer. How do you measure success? You've got these goals. The goals are generic, I think. They talk, like you said, in rhetoric and, they want to make everybody feel good and appease the mass. How are you measuring success? Are we gaining ground? Are we not gaining ground? Those are my questions.
Well, and to talk about what you're just talking about right there, Mike, the last 3 seasons, I've shot an 8-point or better from the same tree stand. This tree stand's a very beautiful ladder stand. It has double rails. Where did I get this tree stand? From a guy who quit hunting because of the EHD. He says, why would I hunt anymore? There's no deer out there. So that's my point. I've seen the doomsday and lived through it. So why is CWD the new doomsday? How is that worse than EHD? When it killed 90% of our herd, and I watched numerous hunters in Calhoun County, Branch County, Eaton County, Berry County, the areas around my home, Kalamazoo County, they sold their equipment. They said, why do I need it anymore? The deer herd is gone. I've seen the doomsday. We lived through it. We'll live through this. Why all the hysteria? Why isn't there better communication?
Right, exactly.
The communicator wants to know why there's not better communication.
And
from the so-called experts.
And I'll take a page from Lincoln. He was on Thursday night on his way home from the meeting, and he kind of said it right. He goes, "You have this NRC commission, DNR." He goes, "They're begging people, hey, we want to partner up with you. We want to partner up with you, but they don't do anything to help the partnership unless, like he says, it's our way." We want a partnership, but if it's only one way,
that's not a partnership.
And it's one of those things that I could see it in Lincoln that he was mad, obviously, but you could tell he's been working so long, just talking to these people, and it was like talking to this green wall behind me, After all,
right. Well, I tell you what, we're bumping up here on our break, running just a little bit long, so let's take a breath. We talked about a lot there. Let's take a breath. We'll step outside, take our next break. We come back, we'll continue the conversation and maybe answer a few questions along the way here. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show. We're sitting here talking a little CWD with Jerry Lambert, who is an outdoor writer, author, and editor of Michigan Bowhunter News.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You know, it's always good to have you on, Jerry. And when you talk, people comment. Okay, so one of the questions was, you talked about the EHD episode that you had, and you went from seeing all those deer down to the doe and the fawns. About how long ago did that take for that area to rebound?
Well, you know, that's a loaded question, and like a lot of these things, there is no simple answer. That one property I told you about, that area, there's a pretty healthy deer herd again. About a mile north, we bought a new piece of property. It's ideal. It has rolling hills, cover, swamp, a couple fields, very low deer density. We have a piece in Battle Creek that we hunted for years. After EHD, we're still getting very, very few pictures. And this area is a property we have that's covered, a lot of cover. It used to hold tons of deer, trophy bucks. We're still hardly even getting any deer on pictures, and we'll go hunt it and not even see a deer hardly. So it's odd. A mile down the road, you'll see 30 deer in the field. You'll hunt that, like I said, a mile away, and it's still low densities. And even when it hit, it would be that way at times. It is real pocketed.
Yep, exactly.
You'd almost have to experience it. It was really surreal. People that lived it are like, this is surreal. The best example I gave you was when I'd walked that property. I probably hunted it 20 years, and I seen deer trails closed up. I was like, this is just weird. And, you know, I'd see muddy areas or scrapes that, you know, you used to go check the tracks, and there'd be no tracks. But with that said and done, 2 years ago, last time I was on your show, I shot a 200-pound buck. I haven't shot that many 200-pound bucks. I believe the deer herd, you know, is a little healthier. It had a cleansing, and that's the nature part that Dan talked about earlier.
Absolutely.
Do I want us to all go through that? No. But, you know, I used to comment, how come? I remember when I started hunting in the 70s, we'd see these deer that we swear, or these does that we swore were 200 pounds.
Right.
You know, and then you never saw these mega does anymore. Well, I was told, you know, the high deer population, even though there's plenty of food, I mean, I'm down here with corn, soybeans are prevailing everywhere, the deer are still stressed. Mm-hmm. And with them being stressed, they don't grow to that size again. Whereas now I'm seeing the mega does, and like I said, I shot a couple of 200-pound bucks since then. You know, it was just 2 years ago I shot one, and then my brother Jeff shot one. And after he shot, I said, he's 5'8", he's not like me, over 6'4". I said, lay down next to that thing. I mean, the buck was as big as him, you know, and it was just incredible, the size of the deer. So I'm not a scientist, you know, but the deer herd does seem a little healthier in the areas where it has rebounded. But unfortunately, some of our properties are still really struggling.
Right. Well, you know, you mentioned stress. Food source is not the cure-all for taking care of deer. They need space. They, you know, yeah, they're a herd type animal, but they still need space, like you said.
Right. Right.
And there's other little things. I mean, like if we've got too many deer on the landscape and the buck to doe ratios are out of whack, we've talked about this 100 times on the show.
Right.
Your bucks are chasing
forever
in November, December, January. You know, in the worst case scenario, yeah, the stress is the pneumonia that they get because they don't have the energy to to make it through and dig down and get those food resources late in the winter to replenish their fat stores.
Exactly. You know, and that's another thing that's going on. And another comment from Dave Thomas. You were talking about why we do this, and he says, "What about the love of venison? Mm-hmm. It's a food to put on your table."
Right.
Speed beef. You know, there's no chemicals in it. You know, it's not injected with hormones. It's not cattled up in a pen. there is farming industries for cervids, but we're talking about free-ranging deer. You know, I like to go to God's grocery store and select my beef from the meat counter that's at the bottom of my tree stand.
Right, exactly.
You know? I know where it came from. I process it, bring it home, process it myself. I know what I'm eating, you know. So
well, let me share another quick story with you along that same process about the deer, about the, you know, why do we do it? 2 years ago, I took my nephew rabbit hunting, and even though I had my gun, I mainly was his shadow that day.
Mm-hmm.
He was 10 years old at the time. His gun was pointed in the right direction the entire time. Mm-hmm. And then he shot his first rabbit. We started that day at 0 degrees. I was like, we can't start a kid hunting at this. And one of my brothers goes, I know, but he wants to go so bad. We felt like we couldn't, so we took it. He loved it. Since then, he's now 13. He shot 8-point 2 years ago. He shot his 5 or 6 point last year. We went rabbit hunting again this year. I got to backtrack a little. He still points that gun in the right direction every time. I don't get credit for that, even though I'm taking him hunting. His dad does. Mm-hmm. His dad passed away. Mm-hmm. But my whole point is, his dad passed away. I have a 10-year-old nephew who doesn't have a dad anymore, but look what he learned from his dad. His dad took him out shooting when he was 6, 7, 8, and 9 until the year he died of an unexpected heart attack. And he has his dad living in him because of the time his dad spent outdoors with him. Mm-hmm. That's what hunting is about. Yeah. That's what shooting, conservation, stewardship, and being an outdoorsman is about.
Absolutely. You know, and
that's the good stuff.
And my wife, Deb, her dad took her out hunting. That's why she got into hunting. Mm-hmm. You know, and so then we got married, went hunting for our honeymoon, and then we had girls. We took them hunting.
Absolutely.
You know, you're right, Jerry. You talked about the memories, the family moments. Of one of the times I shot a doe with Kelly in the blind, you know, she asked me why I was shaking so much. Mm-hmm. And I said, Kelly, just having you here made me so nervous that I was going to screw this up.
Right.
But I didn't. But she remembers that, and it's just, you know, and I remember that plain as day, her just looking at me like, why are you shaking so much? Well, now she understood. She shot a 6-point last year, and when I came over to see her, man, she was bushy-eyed, and it was great. And,
the adrenaline,
it's the whole memory thing. But you're right, and it's something that you can do. And Jerry, that's a great example of something getting, and even older people too. We've known a few people that are just getting into hunting, and they're on the older side, and they're getting back. But it's all that learning and being out in nature and seeing a sunrise or a sunset.
Absolutely, 100%. There's nothing like it. You know, and that's what I'm afraid, you know, like you talked about this bickering back and forth. It starts to squash that spirit. You know, you as being in the hunting industry and a writer, what have you seen or noticed that people are starting to leave Michigan and hunt other places or just giving up? I mean, I'm not talking about just that EHD episode that you're talking about, but I'm talking about other, you know, this CWD. Do you think we're on the verge of this actually deterring people from getting out in the woods?
Yes. Yes. That's a big topic. Yes. I see other outdoor personalities with big followers. Mm-hmm. And they're constantly correcting people. Hey, leave, you know, some kid posts a spike horn and there's 10 grown-ups saying, what'd you shoot that for?
Yep.
You know, there's all these internet police, sportsman police that, you know, if you met them in real life, you wouldn't talk to them anyways. They're not nice people, but because of social media and stuff, they're, you know, we're losing that hunting spirit and we're becoming judgmental. And yes, I know what you're talking about. And there are people leaving the sport. In fact, I noticed a personality. He's talked recently. He still has an outdoor program, but he talks about how he hasn't even personally hunted in Michigan. The infighting's driving him nuts.
Right.
That's sad to see, you know. So, I mean, yes, for sure.
You know, and what really breaks my heart about it is the fact that we have such a strong hunting heritage here. I like to think of Michigan as kind of the leader, you know, in hunting heritage, you know, and the history, the rich history that we've got here. And, you know, I just think we're stomping on it sometimes, kind of.
You know, exactly. And one of the comments coming across from Andy Heberhard about this thing, I think CWD Zone will have some amazing hunting in a couple of years. If these does get thinned out, these bucks will have to move more to find hot does during the rut. Guys will start seeing these big bucks that they don't think exist. No APRs needed. That's fine. But what I think the big thing is the DNR and the NRC have got to tell you what the end game. Explain to us. Say that. Yeah. Hey, we're not using X, Y, or Z plan because of this. You know, it's not just, you know, hey, we're going to go shoot. And like you said, Jerry, you know, or Mike, it tell us why you need to shoot 2,500 does or whatever the number is. Let's see if we can hit that mark. Be clear about it.
Be clear about it. Communicate it better instead of just dropping the bomb. Because another thing we're talking about here, with hunting comes passion. And we have this passion, this burning passion. So then we're feeling infringed on, you know? I mean, we have this passion of this tradition. And now all of a sudden, as a landowner, I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, I can't pass that on to my nephew because all the deer are going to be killed. That's the mentality that develops. And is it far-fetched? I don't know.
Right.
You know? I mean, when we see what it's, you know, the argument before the disease came out was gun season's too long anyways. You know,
right.
Compared to other states. You know, but now we're lengthening it and we're not, you know, what do you expect? What kind of backlash do you expect, you know?
Right. You know, and another one, Jordan Kubiak. How do we know that CWD isn't being passed to other animals? Coyotes? Hold on.
Actually, along with what he just go ahead and finish getting ready to read.
Coyotes, birds that eat the same bait. Any small games that eats off the same bait is going to be similar.
There was some talk
about that.
There was some talk about that. There was somebody who was strongly encouraging everybody to listen to Joe Rogan's podcast this week. Honestly, I don't listen to a lot of other shows, but it was CWD related, so it was 2.5 hours long, 2 hours and 45. It was long, and I really struggled. It took me 2 days to listen to this thing because I kept going back and forgetting. Just due to people's lives and work, to listen to 3 hours is tough. But the biologist talked about this, and I've heard this before. It's not just this biologist, and I don't remember his name or even where he's from. But basically, the prion from a deer, it stays within the cervid family. Other animals will pick it up, like a coyote, if it feasts off of a carcass. It goes in the front end, it comes out the back end. Well, the problem is he's running across the landscape, dumping this stuff, you know, out in fecal matter and urine along the way. It's not infecting the coyote. It just simply passes through him.
Okay, so if that...
Same with birds and crows and raccoons and things like that. So the problem isn't other animals getting it, it's other animals spreading it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So,
especially a crow, right? Crow lands on a carcass, eats, and then flies a country mile.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, you know, and along with those lines, you know, a lot of the cervid farmers get a bad rap. You know, they're getting, you know, it started in a cervid facility. Well, no, it didn't, but it's being found in cervid facilities, deer farms. How is it getting in there? Well, a lot of it is no regulation to begin with. You know, these deer were being transported back and forth and spreading this disease. But who's to say that a bird didn't eat a dead deer on the outside and fly over and take a dump as it flew over this farm and it landed and the deer ate whatever it pooped on?
Right. No.
You know, I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios you can create in the wild that move this disease back and forth. So it's way too complicated to sit here and talk about in a matter of an hour.
Right.
You know,
it's not something that's going to be fixed in an hour.
Yeah.
But that brings up the other question: if they've been studying this since, didn't it start in Colorado in the 60s?
Yes.
Why is there so many questions and no answers?
Yeah.
If it's so, why aren't there more answers at this point?
Yeah. I wonder the same thing. I don't know if there's been enough studies done, or if we studied it to death and we're just not going to get an answer.
Hold on. Chris Kreiner
said the same thing.
Millions of dollars have been spent on CWD research. What more does the state of Michigan think they're going to learn by spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to continue studying CWD?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answer. That's the problem.
That's a great question. And as hunters, we're stewards of our own passion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, through the Pittman-Robertson Act, our money goes to fund these agencies. So are they being a good steward of our money with that very question right there? What more are they going to find out by spending these millions of dollars?
Right. Yeah, I don't know, Jerry. I honestly don't know. I mean, when do you study something enough, I guess, is the answer, or the question. I don't know the answer.
And yet when EHD hit, they just said pretty much that happens and it'll get better.
Yeah.
So
Right.
why is that one just poo-pooed and CWD's the big thing that's going to kill every deer in the nation? And it's the big, what you're not communicating. What's the difference? Why is that the big bad wolf and EHD's not? When I watched EHD, almost cause a doomsday situation.
Right, exactly. And you know what? And it's like we're getting to be about that time. EHD, if it's going to happen, is going to be kicking in.
Yeah, we've had a really long, hot, dry summer. So that's the next thing I'm really worried about is seeing an EHD outbreak again like we did in 2012. I mean, it backed up to our back door here. We had Tyrone Township, next county down. I mean, we're talking one township south of us here. Less than 10 miles away, they had a full-blown outbreak of it, and it decimated, just like what you were saying, Jerry, about your place. In 2012, it was bad. It was really bad around here. So I don't know. But I tell you what, let's take our last break. We come back, we'll kind of wrap things up a little bit and see how many more rabbits we can chase down this rabbit hole. So we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
All right, back to the last segment of the show. A lot of good talk tonight.
Absolutely. It's always good to have Jerry on, talk about his books, talk about his editing, talk about what's going on in Michigan.
That's absolutely right. Now, Jerry, are you going to be over at Woods and Water this year, doing anything over there?
I can't make it to that. What a lot of people don't know is I coach volleyball, and we have tournaments during that time. So this is probably my last year of coaching, so I hope to get back over there because I've been there in the past. I just can't make it this year.
Well, you're gonna have to get with your buddy, and you two are gonna have to come over here because I made the same mention to him. He's like, "Oh, I got to get back to that show," and I'm like, "Dave, come on now. It's only the biggest East Side show we got. It's probably one of the best."
Oh, you're talking about Dave Wilkins?
Yeah.
Okay.
So next year, you two got to team up and come over here for the weekend.
That's right.
We do. We did in the past.
I know.
And, we got to do that again. Yeah.
Well, Danny and I, we will host you. If you need something over this way, you come over and hang out with us, and we'll all four of us get into trouble somehow. I'm sure.
Right. Exactly.
I like that idea.
So, we beat everything that's going on in Michigan. Oh, how's the season looking for you coming up?
I got a lot of promise. I'm starting to write an article right now called I might call it Kill Tree. Anyways, I killed a buck the last 3 years on the same tree, and that area had a couple big ones I didn't connect on last year. We added another property, so we got some high hopes this year. We've got some high hopes. We'll just put it that way.
Well, that's awesome.
It's going to be a good season.
Now, do you have cameras out looking?
You know what? I do, but I haven't checked them recently, and I hope to do that this week.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm not sure what's out there. I'm going to start my surveillance probably this week. Yeah.
So it's just, see that here we are August, and we're looking forward to October. It's coming.
I think about deer 365 days a year. It never stops. EHD, CWD. I hunt in the TB zone. I deal with that every single year. I don't care what I'm still hunting. I've heard guys out there say, I'm not hunting. I'm not buying a tag. I am not going to let regulations that are being imposed upon us steal my joy and my fun of deer season. I'm still going to go out. We're still going to do deer management. We're going to...
Well, Mike, let me piggyback on that.
Sure.
Let me piggyback on that. So 2013 is the year after the big EHD kill. So I did exactly what you asked about. I scheduled a mule deer hunt in Montana.
There you go.
Me and a friend of mine, a lot of people in the state know him. He's 6-time national champ motocross racer Jeff Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
We got in the trucks together and we went mule deer hunting in Montana and got 2 trophy bucks on the last day. But the reason I'm sharing this story, so we had that plan too. We were like, each killed everything off. Well, ironically, we still hunted because we're hunters.
Right.
And we both shot 10 points before we went in Michigan during bow season.
Nice.
We both shot really nice 10 points, and we went out and hardly saw any deer. And you could say, well, then why'd you shoot if you didn't see any? Well, we both shot real mature deer, and there were still enough. And as it proves, the doomsday wasn't quite doomsday, and the population has recycled. But yeah, we did that. We talked about going out of state. We did. We were successful out of state. But ironically, whenever everyone else was hanging up their bows and selling their tree stands to me, I shot one of my biggest 10 points.
And you got a 10-pointer last year, right?
Last year was a 9-point. Well, yes, I got a 10-point during gun season. I'm sorry, 9-point during bow season.
And that's do you have that picture?
No, not in the system.
Okay, okay, so yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I do.
You got that one?
No, I don't think I don't know if it's the one we're thinking of.
I think the 10-point you have is the one I was talking about, the bull kill from 2013.
There you go. We got a picture of it. We'll put it up on the screen for everybody to see. So you shot that one with a bow, and then
that was the year after the EHD kill off. And I said, well, I'm going hunting anyways, and pulled him in.
And I haven't been able to shoot does up in the UP for
years.
I can't see. I think it's 10 years at least.
Yeah,
if not more. So I'm going up against Mother Nature.
Well, we're gonna continue to do what we do. We're gonna go out there and thin the doe herd out. That's our plan this year. We got some things in the works that we're gonna try to do. Maybe even working, strangely enough, with a DNR biologist. Believe it or not. There's more for that to come later, but hopefully we'll be able to share some of that with you live. But the point is, we're not going to give up. We're going to continue to wake up every morning and keep planning towards deer season and working our way towards it. And that's I saw Eric Schnell, the president for Michigan's QDMA chapters, and that's what he said. He's like, guys, we took a kick, but you know what? We're still going to suit up and get out there and do what we do. And that's the attitude you got to have. Don't give up. Don't crawl in a hole. Everything's going to be okay. The sun's going to rise tomorrow. And November 15th we'll get here, and October 1st we'll get here, and people are still going to get out and do what they need to do. The thing is, I think, Jerry, the important message I got, ultimately it's your decision whether you pull that trigger or not. If the deer if we're worried about the deer getting slaughtered, the wholesale slaughter, whatever, I've heard that a lot. Ultimately, you have control of that trigger finger. If you've taken enough, hang it up. Go some other part of the state. Take somebody else out. Help somebody else do something. Be a mentor. There's things you can do to further the education in this whole process along, and live to fight another day.
Absolutely.
So, I guess that's the attitude I'm going to take this year.
Well, keep on keeping on, guys. I love what you guys do.
Well, we try.
We try. As long as we're having fun at this, we're going to keep doing it. Don't become fun. It's like you and writing, right? When you find out writing's, it's not fun anymore, you probably won't do it anymore.
When Danny gets ornery, I'm just going to kick him.
Right?
Well, I tell you what, Danny and I, we've talked a lot. When we get older and retire, if we ever get to that point, we've dreamed about getting a little bait shop up north somewhere, maybe in the UP, and retiring up north and just becoming 2 old hermits in a bait shop.
Right.
And
with a book stand, right?
Yeah, yes. With a book stand with a writer from Calhoun County's books in it.
And that's funny. Now, and that's one of those things that you don't hear a lot about. You do in some circles about the traditions that of the past. We have our own traditions. But, it's like the Orange Army going up on the 14th, right? And we try to continue traditions and stuff.
Yeah. But speaking of, Jerry, we've got about 7 minutes left.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about some hunting traditions in your family that you hold dear. I mean, let's end this show on a good note. Let's be positive and have some fun on here the last few minutes of the show. When you were coming up as a kid, what are some of the family traditions that you still hold dear to today?
You know what? I'm now an editor for a bow hunting magazine. I love to bow hunt, but unlike a lot of bow hunters, I don't give up the whole gun thing. I am a deer hunter.
Right.
I hunt from October 1st to January 1st. I love the whole November 15th thing and the October 1st thing, you know. I love the opening day thing. One of the biggest traditions with us is that the typical tradition is the daily communications. Me and my group, you know, what'd you see? Where were you? What property? What stand? Where was the wind out of where you were at? It's just that daily communication. What so-and-so do? Oh, did he? He did, you know, that is the biggest.
The camaraderie.
Yes, that right there. I did an article on a guy last year. He shot a real big buck. I think it was Branch County, if I remember correct. And he said, he goes, you know, shooting the big buck was cool, but the fun part was having all my buddies come out and help me drag it out, and then hanging out at the barn with it hanging. He goes, that's really why I do it.
Right.
You know, that right there is the good stuff. Like Kenny Chesney said, hey, man, that's the good stuff.
Right,
you
exactly. You know, and I even throw on top of that as well, because last year I shot one 8-point, and then, you know, my cousin came and helped me get it out, and then he shot a 6-point, and that was the fun of it, going to help him, coming to help me, and me going to help him, and then going to hang it up, and then, you know, you're right, Jerry. It's just that whole
sharing experiences,
the whole thing, and then at night when you're sitting around the dinner table and, you know, coming up with the next game plan or whatever, or where you're sitting, who's going to sit where and what, and if you got somebody young in camp or somebody new in camp, and hey, you know, let's take them over here and let's set them up over there.
Take them snipe hunting.
Yeah, take them snipe hunting.
That's always good. Playing a few little practical jokes here or there along the way. You know, that's what it's all about.
Any good practical jokes that you brothers play on each other?
Oh my!
That you can say on air.
I can't think of a specific joke, but we're the type of people. If you're not ragging on them, something's wrong. So we rag on each other all the time. I mean, it's like a locker room mentality 24/7, you know?
Right.
If a guy shoots his biggest buck, it's like, well, you can use that rack for a keychain, I guess, you know? And we went bear hunting. The guy said, well, I guess you got enough hide there to make a wallet. You know it's a 300-pound bear. So that's the type of stuff. We're just constantly ragging on each other. It's part of who we are, good or bad. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
yeah, there was one tradition because we like to bear hunt and slipping berries into the pockets of guys that goes out to a stand.
That's just pure
just something
evil,
we like
man.
to do. So when they're up in the stand and the bears are sniffing around, they find these berries. They just to let them know they're bait, also. You know.
Yeah, man, that's just mean.
That's funny though.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, we ever take Danny bear hunting, I'm gonna put a candy bar in a Snickers bar in his back pocket. So,
Yeah.
you know, that way they know he's around.
That's right.
Oh, you mean don't use the blueberry spray on as cover scent?
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, spray some blueberry spray on you for a cover scent or cover attracting, I should say. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Well,
Right.
Mike, you asked about traditions. This isn't my personal family, but one of my best friends, they hunt up in Northport, Michigan, and they're the type of hunters. They hunt opening day and maybe the day after, and whatever deer they get in those 2 days is their season. And come opening morning, no matter what, they have a big prime rib meal that's their tradition. And the years they shoot 3 bucks, they're like all giddy about it. And if not, they just kick around all the excuses, and you know, they have the most fun.
Right.
They just have fun because with what you talked about, they live in the traditions. You know, they have their meal together. Someone always shoots a buck just because they got this acreage and they only shoot 1 or 2 a year. So there's always enough deer around.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, traditions is huge. And, you know, I was talking with a guy at our camp today, and I had the opportunity to talk to my dad. And my dad, you know, he lives out of state now. And he asked me, he said, well, when are you going up north, son? And, you know, I set the dates for him. And he asks, that tells me he's thinking about it. And it's going to be there's going to come a day that he's not going to be able to come up here. And when he does, that's going to kill me, you know. The tradition of hunting with my dad, you know, at least once a year. You know, and I guess that's when, like you said, you know, you pass it on. You get kids, you know, nephews, nieces, whatever. Your kids, grandkids. Now for me, you know, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely.
So. But I tell you what, it's been a great show tonight. We got just a few minutes left, Jerry. Anything you want to mention?
Where can we find your books one more time, and where can we find Michigan Bow Hunters?
Yeah, Michigan Bow Hunter News, or to become a member of the Michigan Bow Hunter so that you have a voice in a lot of bow hunting type situations is MichiganBowhunters.com. My books can be found at Amazon.com. I have a Facebook author page, Jerry Lambert. That's Jerry with a J, Jerry Lambert author. Please go there and like the page. Just help it out. If you have read my books and liked them, please leave a review on Amazon. That helps put it on different shopping lists for other hunters.
Absolutely.
So that proves to be very helpful. And I have an Instagram page that I put a lot of my wildlife pictures on. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just I think that's just Jerry Lambert on Instagram. So
get over to Instagram, find Jerry, follow him so you can see more of his great pictures that he takes.
Are you still writing any for Woods and Water at all, or are you strictly with Michigan Bowhunter News now?
No, I do. I just kind of pick that up in the fall. If the fall, sometimes I'll have 1 or 2 or sometimes even as many as 5 articles in their publication. Because I started this editorship, I did slow down my writing a little bit, but I'm picking it back up right now. So you should see me in the next, if not the next issue, the one after that or something. So yeah.
All right.
The guy writes for Woods and Water, but doesn't go to the Woods and Water show.
He will
next
year.
Too many irons in the fire.
Amen to that. I tell you, I know how that goes. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to wrap up the podcast portion of the show here, folks, but we'll stay on the live stream here for just a few moments if you guys got questions and want to throw anything our way. So
anything for Jerry after the show, send me your questions and we'll answer it right after the show.
Yep. All right. So that'll do it for the podcast this week, folks. Y'all take care and be safe and shoot straight. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Twisted Minds Bowstrings,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Antler Action,
and Family Traditions Tree Stands.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.